You've probably seen images of Queen Elizabeth I in her elaborate gowns and jewels. Perhaps you know about the big events of her reign: the Spanish Armada, the plays of Shakespeare, the exploration of distant lands. Maybe you've heard about her refusing to marry, her dancing at court, her speeches to Parliament. But what was an ordinary day like for Elizabeth? How did she start her morning? What did she eat for breakfast? How did she spend her afternoons? What happened in the evening before she went to bed? What was it actually like to be queen, day after day, for 45 years? Tonight, we'll walk through a typical day in Elizabeth's life. Not a dramatic day with battles or conspiracies, but just an ordinary Tuesday at Hampton Court Palace in the 1580s. We'll follow Elizabeth from the moment she wakes until she finally retires to bed. We'll see the rituals, the routines, the small details that made up her daily existence. So relax and let your mind drift as we explore a day in the life of Queen Elizabeth I. It's still dark outside when Elizabeth wakes. Summer or winter, the Queen rises early, around 5 o'clock in the morning. There are no alarm clocks, of course. Instead, a groom of the chamber has been waiting patiently outside her door, listening. When he hears movement inside the royal bedchamber, he alerts the ladies of the bedchamber that Her Majesty is awake. Imagine Elizabeth's bedroom at Hampton Court Palace. It's a large room, but not enormous. The walls are hung with rich tapestries to keep out drafts. The ceiling is decorated with carved and gilded wood. And in the center of the room stands the royal bed, a massive four-poster with heavy curtains that can be drawn closed for warmth and privacy. Elizabeth sleeps alone. She's the Virgin Queen, after all, never married. But she's not truly alone. Even at night, there are guards outside her door. There are ladies of the bedchamber sleeping in an adjoining room ready to attend her if needed. Security is always a concern. There have been plots against her life. She must always be protected. This morning, as every morning, Elizabeth lies in bed for a few moments before rising. The room is cold. Even in summer, these stone palaces are chilly in the early morning. In winter, it's bitter. A fire has been lit in the fireplace, but it takes time to warm the space. Elizabeth says her morning prayers while still in bed. She's Protestant, of course, though she was raised Catholic as a child. Her prayers are in English, not Latin. She prays for England, for her counselors, for guidance in the day ahead. These prayers are private, personal. No one hears them but God and herself. After prayers, Elizabeth rises. Immediately, her ladies of the bedchamber enter. They've been waiting for this moment. Today, it's Lady Mary Radcliffe and Lady Catherine Carey who attend the Queen. They've served Elizabeth for years. They know her habits, her preferences, her moods. The ladies help Elizabeth into a dressing gown. Then they escort her to a small adjoining room where her bath has been prepared. Now, Tudors don't bathe every day. That would be considered unhealthy, potentially dangerous even. But Elizabeth does wash daily. Her hands and face are washed in perfumed water. And once a week, perhaps twice, she takes a full bath. Today is a bath day. The wooden tub has been filled with water heated in the kitchens and carried up bucket by bucket. Rose petals float on the surface. The water is scented with oils. Perhaps lavender, perhaps rosemary. Elizabeth values cleanliness, even though some of her courtiers do not. She's known to complain about nobles who smell unpleasant. The bath is quick, perhaps 20 minutes. The water cools rapidly in the chilly room. The ladies attend Elizabeth washing her hair with a mixture of lye soap and herbs. They're careful, gentle. This is intimate work, and they're trusted companions. When the bath is finished, Elizabeth is wrapped in warmed linen towels. Her hair is dried as much as possible, though it will remain damp for hours. In winter, this can be uncomfortable, but Elizabeth endures it. Cleanliness, she believes, is next to godliness. Now comes the most time-consuming part of the morning, getting dressed. For a Tudor queen, this is not a simple matter of pulling on clothes. It's a complex ritual involving many people and many layers of clothing. First come the undergarments. A linen smock, a long loose shift that goes over the bare skin, then wool stockings held up with garters, then the stays, a stiffened undergarment that shapes the torso. Elizabeth's stays are made of buckram stiffened with paste and covered in silk. They're not as rigid as the corsets that will come later in history, but they're still restrictive. Lady Mary helps with the smock and stockings. Lady Catherine laces the stays. Each movement is practiced routine. They've done this hundreds of times. There's a rhythm to it. Pull lace tie smooth. Pull lace tie smooth. Next comes the farthingale, the structure that gives Elizabeth's skirts their distinctive shape. It's made of hoops of wood or whalebone covered in fabric. It sits around her waist, creating a wide, flat surface for her skirts to drape over. The farthingale takes several minutes to arrange properly. It must sit level, must be comfortable enough to wear all day. Then, the petticoats. Elizabeth wears at least 2, sometimes 3. They're made of fine linen or silk, depending on the formality of the day's activities. Today, as it's a fairly ordinary day, with no major court functions, her petticoats are linen. Still fine, still expensive, but not the most elaborate she owns. Over the petticoats goes the kirtle, the underskirt. Today's kirtle is deep crimson damask, richly embroidered with gold thread in patterns of roses and vines. It's beautiful work done by professional embroiderers over many weeks. The kirtle is heavy. All this fabric and embroidery has weight. But Elizabeth is used to it. She's worn clothes like this since she was a teenager, then the gown itself. Today, Elizabeth chooses a gown of black velvet embroidered with silver and pearls. The bodice is tight, molded to her stays. The sleeves are detachable. They'll be pinned on separately. The skirt is full, draping over the farthingale in elegant folds. Lady Mary brings the sleeves. They're works of art in themselves. Black velvet slashed to show white silk underneath with silver embroidery, and tiny seed pearls sewn in elaborate patterns. Each sleeve must be carefully pinned to the bodice. This takes patience. The pins must be invisible. The sleeves must hang correctly. The whole effect must be perfect. Around her waist goes a jeweled girdle, a decorative belt from which hang various items, a pomander filled with herbs and spices to ward off bad smells, a small mirror, a miniature portrait of her father, Henry VIII. These are Elizabeth's personal items, things she wants close at hand. The dressing continues. A ruff, the elaborate collar that's fashionable in Elizabeth's time. Today's ruff is fairly modest, only a few inches wide, made of fine linen starched and pleated into figure-8 patterns. Larger ruffs are saved for more formal occasions. Even this modest ruff requires careful adjustment. It must sit properly, must not collapse or wrinkle. Jewelry comes next. Rings on almost every finger. Rubies, diamonds, sapphires, emeralds. Elizabeth loves jewelry, owns thousands of pieces. She chooses carefully, considering which jewels will complement today's gown. Pearl earrings, a long rope of pearls around her neck, brooches pinned to her bodice. While Elizabeth has been dressing, other servants have been preparing her makeup and arranging her wigs. Yes, wigs. Elizabeth is in her 50s now, and her hair has thinned. She wears elaborate wigs made of human hair, styled in the fashion of the day, high on the forehead, curled and arranged. But first, her own hair must be arranged. What remains of it is still reddish gold, though graying. It's pinned close to her head, creating a base for the wig. Then comes the makeup. Elizabeth's beauty routine is elaborate and by modern standards quite dangerous. First, her face is covered with a white paste made from white lead and vinegar. This ceruse creates the pale white complexion that's fashionable. Elizabeth applies it herself, looking in a mirror, smoothing it over her skin. It covers her wrinkles. Her age spots creates a smooth mask-like surface. The ceruse takes time to dry. While it's drying, Elizabeth sits still, careful not to crack the paste. A servant fans her gently, helping the makeup set. Once the ceruse is dry, rouge is applied to her cheeks. A hint of pink made from crushed cochineal beetles. Her lips are colored with a mixture of cochineal and plant dyes. Her eyebrows are darkened slightly with kohl. Then, the wig is carefully placed on her head. Today's wig is styled in high curls with small jewels woven into the hair. It's secured with pins. Many, many pins. The weight is considerable. Elizabeth will wear this wig all day until she undresses for bed tonight. Finally, a small, delicate crown is placed on top of the wig. Not her coronation crown. That's far too heavy for daily wear. This is a lighter crown, still jeweled, still impressive, but designed to be worn for hours without causing headaches. The dressing is complete. It's taken nearly 3 hours. It's now about 8 o'clock in the morning. Elizabeth looks at herself in the full-length mirror. She sees a queen, elaborately dressed, perfectly composed, ready to face her court and her kingdom. Elizabeth moves from her bedchamber to her privy chamber, her private rooms where she can eat and work without the entire court watching. This movement requires a small procession. Guards precede her. Ladies follow. Even this short walk through the palace is formal, ritualized. In the privy chamber, breakfast awaits. The table is set with fine linen silver plates, crystal goblets. But the meal itself is modest by Tudor standards. Elizabeth is known to eat sparingly, especially in the morning. Today's breakfast consists of small ale, a weak beer that's safer to drink than water, some manchet bread, the finest white bread made from wheat flour, a little butter, perhaps some meat, cold roasted chicken left from yesterday's dinner, and some sweet preserves, quince paste, or strawberry jam made from berries grown in the palace gardens. Elizabeth sits. Her ladies sit with her. This is an informal meal, relatively speaking. They talk quietly while they eat. Lady Mary mentions that it rained last night. Lady Catherine speaks of her son who's studying at Cambridge. Elizabeth listens comments occasionally, but she's already thinking ahead to the day's business. The breakfast doesn't last long, perhaps 20 minutes. Elizabeth eats slowly, delicately. She's never been a hearty eater. I eat to live, she might say. I don't live to eat. Some of this is genuine preference. Some of it is vanity. She wants to maintain her figure, wants her gowns to fit properly. When breakfast is finished, the table is cleared. The ladies withdraw slightly, giving Elizabeth some space. And now, the real work of the day begins. A servant enters carrying a red leather box, or actually several red boxes. These contain the papers Elizabeth must review today: letters from her ambassadors abroad, reports from her Privy Council, petitions from subjects, financial accounts, diplomatic correspondence, legal documents requiring her signature. Elizabeth settles at her desk, a beautiful piece of furniture inlaid with mother-of-pearl and exotic woods. She opens the first box and begins to read. This is one of the most important parts of Elizabeth's day, and one she takes very seriously. She reads every document carefully. She's fluent in Latin, French, Italian, and Spanish, so she can read diplomatic correspondence in the original languages. She trusts her advisors, but she also trusts herself. She wants to understand everything that affects her kingdom. Imagine Elizabeth sitting at her desk, a quill in her hand. Sunlight streams through the windows, illuminating the papers spread before her. She reads a report from her ambassador in France. There are rumors of a plot, some conspiracy involving Spain and Scotland. She makes notes in the margin, questions to ask instructions for her Privy Council. She reads a petition from a merchant in London who claims he's been unfairly taxed. She considers this carefully. Is the petition legitimate? Or is this man simply trying to avoid his obligations? She writes a note. This should be investigated further, but not by anyone connected to the tax collectors. She wants an impartial opinion. She reads financial accounts. England's treasury is always a concern. There's never enough money. Wars are expensive. The Navy requires constant maintenance. The court itself costs a fortune to maintain. Elizabeth scrutinizes every expense. She's known for being careful with money sometimes, overly so. But this carefulness has kept England solvent when other kingdoms are drowning in debt. For 2 hours, Elizabeth works through the papers. Her hand cramps occasionally from writing. She makes many notes, signs, many documents, but she doesn't complain. This is her duty, her responsibility. She chose to be queen, or rather, she inherited the position, but she's chosen to take it seriously, to rule actively, rather than leaving everything to her ministers. Around 11 o'clock, there's a knock at the door. William Cecil enters, Lord Burghley, her chief minister. the man she's relied on for decades. He's come for their daily meeting. "Good morning, Your Majesty," he says, bowing deeply. "Good morning, my spirit," Elizabeth replies. This is her nickname for Cecil, my spirit, because he seems to know what she's thinking, seems to anticipate her questions and concerns. They sit together, and Cecil briefs her on the day's most pressing issues. There's a religious dispute in the north that requires attention. There's a diplomat from the Netherlands requesting an audience. There's a matter concerning the Royal Navy. Some ships need repair, but there's debate about whether the cost is justified. Elizabeth asks, questions, offers opinions, makes decisions. She and Cecil have worked together so long that their meetings are efficient, almost a kind of dance. He knows what she needs to know. She knows what questions to ask. Within 45 minutes, they've covered everything essential. As Cecil leaves, Elizabeth feels satisfied. The morning has been productive. Papers have been read. Decisions have been made. England continues to run smoothly. At least for today. Dinner. The main meal of the Tudor day is served at midday around noon. For Elizabeth, this can be either a private meal in her privy chamber or a more public affair in the presence chamber, depending on who's at court and what needs to be accomplished. Today, it's a semi-public dinner. Elizabeth will dine in the presence chamber, visible to her courtiers, but only her closest companions will actually sit with her at the table. The rest of the court will watch from a respectful distance. The procession to the presence chamber is formal. Guards lead the way, clearing the path. Elizabeth follows, walking slowly, gracefully, her ladies behind her. Courtiers line the route, bowing and curtsying as she passes. She nods to some, speaks briefly to others. "Good day, Lord Howard." "Lady Pembroke, how is your daughter?" Small acknowledgments, but meaningful. These people have traveled to court, have invested time and money to be here. A word from the Queen, a nod, a smile. These are valuable. In the presence chamber, the table is set elaborately. White linen tablecloths, silver plates and goblets, everything gleaming polished to perfection. Elizabeth sits in the chair under the canopy of state, the ornate cloth ceiling that marks where royalty sits. Her ladies sit near her. A few favored courtiers sit further down the table. The rest of the court stands and watches. Now begins the meal service. This is theater as much as dining. Servants carry in dish after dish, each one announced by the usher. The presentation is as important as the food itself. A servant brings a silver bowl containing a clear broth made from chicken and herbs. He kneels as he presents it. Elizabeth takes a few spoonfuls. The broth is good, warming, delicately flavored. But she doesn't finish it. She rarely finishes anything. Roasted capon with herb sauce. A whole roasted chicken is presented beautifully browned, garnished with fresh herbs. A server carves it at the table, offering Elizabeth the choicest pieces. She takes a small portion of breast meat. She eats slowly, carefully. Everyone is watching. Pike and galantine sauce, a large fish poached and presented in an elaborate jellied sauce. Today is Wednesday, a fish day according to the law Elizabeth herself passed. Fish must be eaten on Wednesdays, Fridays, and Saturdays to support the fishing industry. Elizabeth takes a small piece of pike. It's fresh, probably from the Thames, well prepared. She approves. Salad of lettuce and herbs, fresh greens dressed with oil and vinegar. Elizabeth actually enjoys salad, unlike many of her contemporaries who view raw vegetables with suspicion. She eats several forkfuls. Well, not forkfuls. Forks are still rare at English tables. She eats with her knife and her fingers delicately, following the elaborate etiquette of courtly dining. A pie filled with deer meat spiced with cloves and cinnamon. This is a gift from one of Elizabeth's nobles sent from his estate in the country. The pastry is golden, beautifully made. Elizabeth takes a small slice. The meat is tender, the spices well balanced. She nods approvingly. The noble who sent this will be pleased to hear. The Queen enjoyed his gift, tart of strawberries and cream, a sweet dish, though it's served alongside the savory ones. Tudors don't separate desserts from the main meal the way we do. The tart is beautiful, the strawberries arranged in a pattern, the cream smooth and rich. Elizabeth loves sweet things, though she tries to limit how much she eats. Her teeth are already damaged from sugar. They're black and painful. But this tart is irresistible. She eats a larger portion than usual. This is the showpiece of the meal, a castle made entirely of marzipan, decorated with gold leaf, with little flags made of wafer-thin sugar. It's not really meant to be eaten. It's art, meant to impress. Elizabeth admires it, compliments the cook. Later, it will be broken up and distributed to the courtiers standing around the room. Throughout the meal, Elizabeth talks with her ladies and the courtiers at her table. She asks about their families. She makes jokes. Elizabeth has a sharp wit, enjoys wordplay. She discusses a book she's been reading, something in Latin, a classical text. She's relaxed here, relatively speaking. This is her court, her people. She's among friends. The meal lasts about an hour. Elizabeth doesn't eat very much of what's been served. Perhaps 5 or 6 small portions out of the 20 or so dishes presented. The rest will go back to the kitchens where it will be distributed to servants or sold to London merchants who will resell it. Nothing is wasted. When the meal is finished, Elizabeth stands. Everyone else immediately stands as well. She says a brief prayer of thanksgiving, then processes out of the presence chamber back to her privy chamber. The public part of her day is over, at least for now. The afternoon is Elizabeth's favorite time of day. From about 2 o'clock until 5, she has relative privacy. She can do things she enjoys, not just things she must do as queen. Sometimes she reads. Elizabeth is an avid reader, fluent in many languages. She reads classical texts, Cicero, Plutarch, Seneca. She reads contemporary works. Poetry plays religious treatises. Today, she picks up a copy of Castiglione's The Courtier in the original Italian. She's read it before, but she enjoys revisiting it. She reads for about an hour, sitting by the window where the light is good. Sometimes she translates. Elizabeth keeps her language skills sharp by translating texts from one language to another. She's translated works from Greek to Latin, to English Italian, to French. It's exercise for her mind, a way to stay intellectually engaged. Today, she doesn't feel like translating. But some days, she spends the entire afternoon on a translation project. Today, she decides to practice her music. Elizabeth plays the virginals, a keyboard instrument similar to a small harpsichord. One is kept in her privy chamber for her personal use. She sits down, adjusts her skirts around the bench. This is tricky with a farthingale, and begins to play. She plays a pavane, a slow, stately dance tune. Her fingers move over the keys with practiced ease. She's been playing since childhood was taught by the best music masters in England. Music relaxes her, takes her mind off the constant pressure of being queen. After 30 minutes of playing, Elizabeth stands and stretches. All this sitting, at breakfast, working on papers, at dinner, reading, playing music, it's not healthy. She needs to move. She calls for her ladies. Let's walk in the gardens. This is one of Elizabeth's great pleasures, walking. She walks briskly, covering miles even in her heavy gowns. Today, accompanied by Ladies Mary and Catherine, she goes out to the Privy Garden, a private garden accessible only to the Queen and her closest companions. The Privy Garden is beautiful. It's laid out in geometric patterns with gravel paths, carefully trimmed hedges, raised beds of flowers. There are roses, many roses, lavender, gillyflowers, sweet-smelling herbs like rosemary and thyme. In the center of the garden is a fountain water splashing musically. Elizabeth and her ladies walk slowly along the paths. They talk about nothing important. The weather, the flowers, a new gown Lady Mary is having made. It's peaceful here. The only sounds are their voices, the fountain birds, singing bees, humming among the flowers. This is Elizabeth, at her most relaxed. Her face isn't set in the queenly mask she wears in public. She laughs at Lady Catherine's gossip about a courtier who got drunk at last night's supper and fell down. She bends to smell a particularly fragrant rose. She sits for a moment on a bench in the shade, just enjoying the summer afternoon. But even here, even in her private garden, she's not alone. Guards stand at the entrances. Servants wait nearby in case she needs anything. Privacy for a queen is always relative. After an hour in the garden, Elizabeth returns to her privy chamber. It's now about 4 o'clock. Soon it will be time for supper, and then the evening's entertainment. Supper is served around 5 o'clock, and it's typically lighter than dinner. Tonight, it's a private affair. Just Elizabeth and a few of her ladies and favorite courtiers. Perhaps 10 people. Total seated around a table in one of the smaller chambers. The table is still set beautifully, but less formally than at dinner. There's cold meat left from dinner, venison capon, fresh bread, some cheese, a salad, stewed fruit. Elizabeth eats sparingly as she usually does in the evening. She drinks watered wine, never too much. She's seen what excessive drinking does to people, and she disapproves. The conversation at supper is relaxed. The Earl of Leicester is here tonight, Robert Dudley, Elizabeth's oldest friend, possibly the love of her life, though they never married. They've known each other since they were children. Now, they're both in their 50s, comfortable with each other, able to tease and joke. Your Majesty looked particularly regal at dinner today, Lester says with a smile. Did I? I felt particularly uncomfortable. These new farthingales are even more absurd than the old ones. Fashion must be suffered for. I'm the Queen. Surely I should be able to decree that fashion is whatever is comfortable and throw all the tailors and dressmakers out of work. Your Majesty is too kind-hearted. This easy banter continues throughout the meal. Elizabeth relaxes here among friends. These are people she trusts, people who've proven their loyalty over decades. She can be herself, not just the Queen, but Elizabeth. Supper lasts about 45 minutes. When it's finished, the group moves to the Privy Chamber, where the evening's entertainment will take place. Tonight's entertainment is music and dancing. This is Elizabeth's favorite kind of evening. She loves to dance, has danced since childhood, and she's still remarkably good at it. Even in her 50s, musicians have been set up in one corner of the room. A lute player, a virginals player, a viol player, and a singer. They're the best musicians at court, carefully chosen. They begin with a galliard, a lively dance tune. Elizabeth stands. My Lord Leicester, will you dance with me? Leicester bows. It would be my greatest honor, Your Majesty. They take their positions. The music begins and they start the dance. The galliard is athletic. Lots of jumps and kicks, complex footwork. Elizabeth performs it beautifully, her movements graceful, despite her elaborate gown. Leicester matches her step for step. They've danced together hundreds of times over the decades. They know each other's style perfectly. The other courtiers watch, clapping in time to the music. When the dance ends, everyone applauds. Elizabeth is slightly breathless, but smiling genuinely. This is joy rare and precious in her difficult life. Another, she commands. The musicians play a pavane this time, slower, more stately. Elizabeth dances with different partners, a young courtier, then with one of her ladies' women, often dance together when there aren't enough men. Each dance lasts about 5 minutes. Elizabeth dances for over an hour, taking brief breaks to drink watered wine and cool down. Around 8 o'clock, Elizabeth sits down to rest. Her feet hurt. Those shoes, while beautiful, aren't particularly comfortable. The musicians continue playing, but now it's for listening rather than dancing. The viol player performs a solo piece, something melancholy and beautiful. The room is quiet except for the music. Candles flicker. The summer sun is setting outside, long shadows falling across the floor. Tonight, there's a special entertainment. A small acting company has been granted permission to perform for the Queen. They're setting up now in one corner of the Privy Chamber. A small raised platform, some simple scenery pieces, a few props. The play is a comedy, something light. Elizabeth enjoys comedies, enjoys laughing. The actors are good, professionals who perform regularly in London. They've been carefully vetted before being allowed into the Queen's presence. The play lasts about 45 minutes. It's full of wordplay, mistaken identities, lovers' quarrels. Elizabeth laughs, often genuinely amused. When it's over, she applauds generously and sends for the actors to come forward. "That was well done," she tells them. "Very well done indeed. You shall have £10 for your performance." £10 is generous, far more than they would earn in a week of public performances. The actors bow deeply, expressing their profound gratitude. They'll dine out on this story for months. We performed for the Queen. It's now about 10 o'clock. The entertainment is winding down. Courtiers are beginning to leave, bowing as they back out of the royal presence. The musicians pack up their instruments. Servants begin to clear away wine cups and snuff some of the candles. Elizabeth stands, stretches slightly. She's tired now. It's been a long day, up since 5, dressed in these heavy clothes for 16 hours, eating public meals, working through papers, walking, dancing. She's ready for bed, but first, one last bit of business. Her principal secretary approaches with a few urgent papers that have just arrived. A message from her ambassador in Madrid. An update on a situation in Ireland. Nothing that can't wait until tomorrow. But she glances over them anyway, makes a quick note on each. "That will do," she says. "Tomorrow will be soon enough for the rest." She says goodnight to the remaining courtiers. Leicester bows over her hand, kisses it gently. "Sleep well, Your Majesty, and you, my dear friend." Then, Elizabeth, accompanied by her ladies of the bedchamber, processes back to her private apartments. The day is nearly over. Undressing takes nearly as long as dressing did this morning. The process must be done in reverse, each layer removed carefully. First, the crown is lifted from her wig and placed on a cushioned stand. Then, the wig itself is removed, carefully so as not to pull her real hair underneath. The wig goes on a stand as well. Elizabeth's own thin hair is unpinned, allowed to fall loose. It's a relief to have that weight off her head. Lady Mary helps remove the jewelry. Each piece is carefully placed in its designated box. The rings come off. So many rings they leave indentations on her fingers. The necklaces, the brooches, the girdle, all carefully stored away. The outer gown is unpinned from the sleeves. The sleeves are removed first, each pin carefully extracted. Then, the gown itself lifted over her head. It's heavy, this gown. Lady Catherine helps supporting the weight. The gown is laid over a stand where it will be brushed and aired before being put away. The kirtle comes off next. Then the petticoats, one by one. The farthingale, which takes some maneuvering. The stays unlaced slowly. Finally, down to just the linen smock. Elizabeth sits, while Lady Mary brings warm water and cloths to wash her face. The white makeup must come off, the lead cerusse that's been on her skin all day. It's carefully wiped away, revealing her real skin underneath. Older, more worn than the mask showed. There are wrinkles around her eyes, age spots on her cheeks. But this is Elizabeth's real face, the one only her closest ladies see. Her hands and feet are washed in warmed, perfumed water. It feels good to be clean, to let her skin breathe. A nightgown is brought. Fine linen, soft and comfortable, so different from the rigid structures she's worn all day. Elizabeth puts it on gratefully. Then a nightcap to cover her hair. Soft slippers for her feet. Lady Catherine brushes Elizabeth's hair. What hair remains? It's a soothing ritual, the brush moving gently through the thin strands. Elizabeth closes her eyes, lets herself relax. While her hair is being brushed, another servant brings her nighttime drink. A posset, a mixture of hot milk, honey, and a touch of wine. It's warming, soothing. Elizabeth drinks it slowly. A final prayer is said, longer than the morning prayer, reviewing the day, asking for protection through the night, for wisdom in the days to come. Elizabeth prays aloud, her ladies kneeling with her. When the prayer is finished, they all make the sign of the cross. The bed has been prepared while Elizabeth was undressing. Sheets turned down. Bed warmer passed between them to chase away any chill. The heavy bed curtains are pulled back. Elizabeth climbs into bed. The mattress is stuffed with feathers, soft and comfortable. The sheets are finest linen. The blankets are wool in winter, lighter cotton in summer. The pillows are plump, covered in embroidered cases. Lady Mary and Lady Catherine tuck the blankets around her. They treat her gently, almost like a child. In this moment, Elizabeth isn't a queen. She's just a tired woman going to bed. Good night, Your Majesty. Good night. God keep you both. The ladies withdraw to their adjoining chamber, but they don't go to sleep immediately. They'll wait until they hear Elizabeth's breathing slow and deepen, until they're sure she's asleep. Only then will they rest. Outside Elizabeth's door, guards take up their positions. They'll stand watch all night, rotating every few hours. No one can approach the Queen's bedchamber without being challenged. This is partly ceremony, partly genuine security. Elizabeth has enemies. Assassination attempts have been made. She must be protected. The palace settles into nighttime quiet. Distant sounds drift through the darkness. A dog barking somewhere, the cry of a night watchman, making his rounds the hoot of an owl in the gardens. But Elizabeth's bedchamber is peaceful, silent, except for her breathing. She lies in the darkness, the bed curtains drawn around her. Tomorrow will be another day, much like today. Waking early, the elaborate dressing ritual papers, and meetings, meals, and walking evening entertainment, the undressing ritual. Day after day, year after year, for 45 years, this is what it means to be queen. Not the grand moments, the speeches, the battles, the great decisions, but this, the daily routine, the endless repetition, the constant performance, the weight of responsibility that never lifts. Elizabeth sleeps. The candles burn low. The guards stand watch. And outside, England sleeps too secure under her rule. So, we've followed Elizabeth through an entire day, from the moment she woke in the pre-dawn darkness until she finally fell asleep late at night. A day of rituals and routines of public performance and private moments of duty and small pleasures. It wasn't a dramatic day. No battles were fought, no conspiracies uncovered. It was just Tuesday, an ordinary day in an extraordinary life. And yet, isn't that what most of life is? Not the grand moments that make it into history books, but the accumulation of ordinary days, each one much like the last. For 45 years, Elizabeth lived days like this. Not every day was identical, of course. Some days there were emergencies, news of an invasion fleet, a rebellion in the north, a plot against her life. Some days there were great ceremonies, the opening of Parliament, the reception of foreign ambassadors, the celebration of holidays. But most days were like today, waking early, dressing elaborately, working through papers, eating formal meals, walking in gardens, dancing and listening to music, undressing and going to bed. The rhythm of routine day after day, year after year. Perhaps that's the most interesting thing about Elizabeth's daily life, how ordinary much of it was. Yes, the clothes were more elaborate than ours. Yes, she had servants to help with everything. Yes, there were guards and rituals and courtiers watching. But underneath all that pageantry, she was just a person trying to live her life, trying to do her job as best she could. She woke up tired some mornings, just like we do. She had favorite foods and foods she didn't like. She enjoyed some activities and found others boring but necessary. She had friends she loved and people she merely tolerated. She had aching feet after a long day, headaches from heavy crowns, moments of joy and moments of frustration. The grand title, Elizabeth Apine, by the grace of God, Queen of England, France and Ireland, Defender of the Faith. That was the public face. But underneath was just Elizabeth, a woman who loved dancing and hated fish days, who worked hard at papers and correspondence, who walked briskly in gardens, who played the virginals in her private chamber, who said her prayers morning and night. Think about the sheer amount of time Elizabeth spent on just getting dressed and undressed. 3 hours in the morning to put on all those layers, 2 hours at night to take them off again. That's 5 hours a day, every day, for 45 years. It adds up to nearly 7 years of her life spent just on the physical act of dressing and undressing. Or think about the meals. 2 formal meals a day, each lasting about an hour, surrounded by ceremony and performance. That's another 2 hours daily, another 3 years of her life. All that time sitting at tables being watched eating food she often didn't particularly want. All because it was expected, because it was part of being queen. And the paperwork. 2 or 3 hours a day, reading reports, signing documents, writing notes and instructions. 45 years of papers and correspondence. Imagine the sheer volume, thousands upon thousands of documents passing through her hands, each one requiring her attention, her decision, her signature. This was Elizabeth's life. Not glamorous, not easy, but necessary. She chose, or rather circumstances chose for her, to be an active, engaged ruler. She could have let her ministers handle everything, could have been a figurehead who simply appeared at ceremonies. Some monarchs did that, but Elizabeth didn't. She read every paper. She made every decision. She showed up day after day, decade after decade. When you think about Elizabeth, now perhaps you'll remember not just the dramatic moments, the speech at Tilbury, the defeat of the Spanish Armada, the flourishing of English literature and exploration. Perhaps you'll also remember the daily routine, the early mornings, the heavy gowns, the elaborate meals, the dancing, the paperwork, the prayers, the constant exhausting performance of being queen, because that's what most of life is. Not the peaks and valleys, but the plateau in between. The getting up and doing it again and again and again. The routine that becomes a life. Elizabeth did this for 45 years, and when she finally died in March 1603 at age 69, she'd spent more than half her life as queen. The routines we've followed today, waking, dressing, working, eating, entertaining, undressing, sleeping, these rhythms had shaped her existence for decades. Perhaps there's something comforting in that. The predictability of routine, the knowledge that tomorrow will be much like today, that next week will be much like this week. For someone in Elizabeth's position, with enemies and threats everywhere, perhaps that routine was reassuring. As long as the day followed its expected pattern, as long as the rituals were observed, all was well. So tonight, as you drift off to sleep, perhaps you can imagine Elizabeth doing the same 400 years ago, lying in her bed at Hampton Court or Greenwich or Whitehall, the curtains drawn around her guards outside her door, tired from another day of being queen, but ready to do it all again tomorrow. The routine continues. The Queen sleeps. England endures. And somewhere in the palace, a clock chimes midnight, marking the end of one day and the beginning of another.